And we are live. Can you go ahead and hop in there? Do I need to send you a link? Actually, if you go to my channel, then you can tell me whether it's user friendly or not for folks trying to get on there.
My phone's at 9%.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
All right, outstanding. Looks like we got 5 people so far, so that's cool. I'm expecting, I don't know, at least a dozen or so, because I've had a number of folks tell me that they were going to be on. So welcome to my very unorganized shop. You guys get to see a little wider view than you normally do on my videos. And as you can see, it is a mess. But in my defense, I did just get back from Kentucky, and I have not unpacked everything because I'm actually turning around and going right to Mebane down in North Carolina for another MWTCA. So for those of you that may be familiar, it's the one that Ed Hobbs used to do every September, and it is now moved to Mebane, and it's going to be in October. So if you happen to live in the Southeast region and you want to come out to MWTCA this weekend, it'll be in Mebane. Hey, Dennis, how are you? You guys feel free to put whatever you want in the chat, especially if you have any questions or comments. I've got my son back here who's monitoring the chat. He's going to keep me informed of what's going on. So welcome, everybody. For those of you that are coming from whether it's Patreon or Facebook, or maybe you just happen to catch me on YouTube, welcome. And you probably already know that I'm going to be showing. I got to stop looking at these these comments because it's going to keep distracting me. But hey, James, how are you? So I'm going to be showing the stuff that I got in Kentucky when I was on the way. Well, actually, while I was down in Bowling Green, I got an email from someone who actually lives back here in Virginia, and they said, "Hey, we found you on YouTube, and we'd like you to come by and take a look at, in this case, it was his dad's collection." And so I went ahead and stopped. It was in Louisville, so it was kind of sort of on the way home. But I spent a couple hours there with the family and got to see some really, really cool tools, and then actually got to buy some of them. And that's mostly what I'm going to be showing y'all. I really didn't buy that much at MWTCA down in Bowling Green. Mostly what I bought was stuff that guys had specifically requested that I look for. They said, hey, can you find me, like, for example, Mr. Lehman up there in Illinois wanted an A6, for example. So I found him one of those and actually got that in the mail to him today. Otherwise, I would show it to y'all now. So again, I can't stress enough. Make sure you guys let me know if you have any specific questions. I see a lot of people saying hello. So hello to all of you. If you do have any questions, we'll wait for like kind of a natural breaking point, and then my son will just let me know. They'll say, for example, hey, Steve wants to know XYZ, whatever that might be. So without further ado, let me show you all some tools. I'm going to try it. What I was originally thinking was I was going to just do them on the bench like I normally do my YouTube videos, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go James Wright style and hold them up this way instead. So the first step is actually a number 40. And I don't know if any of y'all are looking for one of these, but this particular one has some pretty, it's got some little chips there on the back. And so what I was thinking about doing was actually switching to this one. It's got some rust back here. Hopefully the lighting's not terrible, but I think this will clean up. So if you're interested in a 40, basically what I was thinking about doing was combining these two into one good plane. And then while we're on the topic of number 40s, Dave Corinth actually refurbs those. So if you happen to find a 40 that's incomplete, a lot of times, as you know, they're missing the blade and or lever cap. And then even if they have the lever cap, a lot of times it's either broken or it's been brazed, repaired, etc. And so what I do is I collect as many of these bodies as I can and I send them up to Dave, and then he refurbs them, puts his blade and his lever cap in them, and then he sells them. So as a matter of fact, he had a couple of them for sale down there in Bowling Green. And so that's pretty cool stuff. But incidentally, this number 40 is Sweetheart fans. And so that is a good point. It will not hurt performance having those little dings on the back, especially for a scrub plane, based on what it does. But some folks, especially collectors, they like to have a nice clean mouth on them. And I'm pretty sure that's original furniture on that. I think that's beach furniture. And incidentally, this one has a little crack right here. But I have some of Dave's stuff too. So y'all just let me know if you're interested in a 40, if you're interested in building one up. You can either put some in the comments or you can just message me on Facebook Messenger, either one. If we get into some items that are a little bit more in demand, we'll have to figure something out as far as if it's something that you for sure want. It'll probably have to do like first person in the comments to say, hey, I want that. And then, of course, y'all know priority goes to patrons. And I'm pretty sure most of the folks that I've seen on here so far are, in fact, patrons. So that shouldn't be a big deal. So next up is going to be this draw knife right here. And this is actually a pretty well-known maker. It's A.J. Wilkinson and Company. So they're out of Boston, Mass. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Hopefully you can. But it's one of those styles that looks like it's got the boiling hot dog feature on there. And that's, of course, designed for when it's closed. I know I'm telling most of y'all stuff that you already know, just in case you didn't. So it's got a good, clean blade here. It'll take a nice edge. And then this is actually, that's not rust. That's some kind of like protective coating on there. And then for those of you that maybe not be familiar with draw knives yet, it's got the number 9 there, which of course means that it's a 9-inch. So the inside, this measurement right here is 9 inches. So little A.J. Wilkinson folding draw knife, folding 9-inch draw knife, and just pretty cool. And then also something that's really awesome on this particular one is it's got a patent date back here, which you don't see on every draw knife. But that one's patented July of 1895. So that's a pretty old knife. And what do they left patent dates on there for? It was either 14 or 17 years. Somebody let me know in the chat. And I think it actually changed at one point. Like it was 14 for a while and then they extended it 17 or something like that. I don't do Facebook. How can I contact you for parts? That's a great question. So if you're not on Facebook, you can email me, jplainfun so just the letter J, plainfun, PLANEFUN @gmail.com. And as far as what payments I accept, I take everything. I mean, I think I take every form of digital or non-digital payment. So the usuals, PayPal is most common, but then Venmo, Cash App, Google Pay, Apple Pay, I'll take a check, a money order, all that good stuff. So no problem there. And then this little guy I'm thinking about keeping, but if somebody really, really wanted it and you can talk me out of it, I might sell it. It's got a nice straight plate on it. I'm not going to be able to show that, but it's a little Jackson. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with these, but it's got a real nice handle. I'm going to guess that it's probably some kind of fruit wood, like maybe like apple or something. I think that was common for these little guys. But the blade on it is only 8 inches long. So that's just a really, really cool little saw. And if you know me, you know that I have a certain affinity for little back saws. So I've got a whole shelf full of them. I probably actually need to sell a couple of those because I probably have too many. But give me 1 second here. Are you not able to see the chat? Well, that's unfortunate. So you can't see what everybody else is commenting? Like you're in the video, right? Like you can't see what they're commenting? No, you can go ahead and talk.
I need the YouTube app.
Oh, the app. Oh. All right. Pause, everybody. I'm really sorry. I gotta put the YouTube app on here real quick. Just give me 1 second. Unfortunately, I have the coolest patrons and the coolest buyers known to man. So I got to get my producer the correct stuff here. All right, some more cool stuff here. This is a Sergeant VBM, and so it's just like the 81, yeah, number 81 Stanley. I don't know if they also called it an 81. I don't actually see a number on here. There probably is one. But anyway, if you happen to be a Sergeant collector and you want one of these, this is a replacement sole. It's not the original. And then it actually has a Coons blade in it. But it still will make a fantastic user. And especially for the Sergeant folks among us, I think y'all will be pleased. I mean, it's pretty clean. And the blade does have a decent little edge on it here. And just as I don't know, a point of interest on these little nuts, the brass on these are not interchangeable with the Stanley. So just like they often did, they used a different thread on them. And the knurling is a little bit different as well. So every now and then I'll find a parts Sergeant and I'll be able to, sell those little parts, sell the little brass on there. I don't think I have any of those right now. And then we've got some spoke shaves. We've got some 151s. I got both of these from that estate in Kentucky, which, as a side note, the gentleman was a fighter pilot in World War II. So how cool is that? And then after the war, he separated from the military, which would have been the Army back then, the Army Air Corps, prior to 1948. And then he went and became an orthopedic surgeon. So pretty cool stuff there. And here in a bit, I'm going to actually show you guys some of the rosewood tote repairs that he did. And keep in mind, he did that without the help of Gordon Addison. So it would have been before the Gordon times. And as an orthopedic surgeon, I'm sure you can imagine this guy was pretty meticulous. He did a great job with these repairs. But his 151s, this one is just a BB logo on here. It's in pretty good shape. And then we've got this Sweetheart here. So once again, I know you guys, and I know there's a number of you that collect Sweetheart stuff. So if you don't have a 151 in your collection yet, let me know, because those will both be available. And to me, that's the second best spoke shave in the game. And I'm going to show you guys the best spoke shave in the game, or at least in my humble opinion, and that is the number 67, the Universal. James's name is Fred Coy, so it would have been Fred Coy Sr., I believe. And he lived up in Louisville, and unfortunately he's no longer with us, but his collection lives on, right? So the other reason why I'm bringing this up, aside from the fact that I think it's the best spoke shave, is that I actually lucked into one of these fences at Bowling Green. And I know there are a number of you guys that are probably looking for one of these, because I get requests for them every now and then. But I did luck into one, and I am asking $50 on it, pre-discount for the patrons. So if you need one of those for your 67, let me know and we will make it happen. I did get a number 9 1/4 that's in pretty decent shape. It's got a BB logo on the blade, and it's got a good mouth on it. I know block planes are kind of blah, but we gotta cover everything, right? So this number 8 is a Type 7. It's Type 7 number 8. So any of you the guys that like the really old ones, it does have this little scratch back here, just aft of the mouth. But other than that, the mouth is in pretty good shape. I mean, there's some really light pitting here, but nothing that's going to affect use or anything. It does have an original Q logo iron on it, and it's got a pretty decent lever cap. The usual tiny little chips on the edges there. But overall, I mean, this thing is pretty solid. It's got an original rosewood tote. You see it's got the old forward lean on it. Plenty of clearance there. So it is original. So yeah, Type 7, number 8 that will be available. And I mean, we're talking 110 bucks. It's yours pre discount for patrons. So if you guys like that one, by all means. And I guess I should have had more of these set up. I mean, I do have them on my bench, but I was going to switch to the other view, and then I didn't. But we've got a number 3 here. This is going to be a Type 13, so Sweetheart era. It does have the Sweetheart blade in it. I mean, this thing it's been well loved, I guess you could say. And I'm not even sure if that's the correct tall knob on it. It looks like it might be a little bit on the big side, but Sweetheart number 3, smooth sole, if you don't have one of those yet for the Sweetheart guys. Got another number 3 here. This one is a true Type 11. So we've got our low knob, we've got our small brass. The tote has been repaired. So there's a little repair there. But if you want to, we can probably find an intact tote to put on there. It does have the original V logo iron. So if you're needing a number 3 Type 11 smooth sole, then we can absolutely get you hooked up. And then we've got a 192 little rabbit plane here, and it is complete with the depth stop and the original screw. So 192, and that is just a BB logo on that. So we'll probably do 30 bucks pre-discount on that. I mean, just the depth stop there and the screw is worth more than that. But so yeah, 192 there. This one, I'm pretty sure I have a buyer on already. I think this one's going down to Australia, but I'll show it to you anyway. This is an older 604. So it's going to be a Type 4 with the 2-line bedrock cap. And right now it does have a BB logo iron in it, but I'm going to swap that out. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's going to Mark Connolly down in Australia, little 604C. So what questions do you guys have? Let's see. Hello from Michigan. Dennis, the 67 is not for sale, but just the fence that I picked up. But yeah, that 67 is out of my personal collection. Absolutely. Corrugation light. I like it. Oh, Dennis got an 81. So that's awesome. Have you got a chance to use it yet, Dennis? Hello, Sonoma. Agreed, Aaron. That is a pretty sweet saw. I should probably sell some of my... I think I answered the question on that. Lighting is good. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. That's awesome. All right, so got a message on the Sweetheart spoke shape. So that 151 with the Sweetheart blade may be spoken for if you were watching that one. All right, just in the interest of time and in the interest of my battery life, I'm gonna skip over some of these number 5s, but that was what I got the most of, was number 5s. So if you happen to need one, this is a Type 13 right here. It's got a partial decal, and by partial, I mean very, very little of a decal, but an absolutely beautiful rosewood tote. So, and it does have kind of a crappy blade, but we can probably put a better Sweetheart blade in there for you if you're interested. So number 5, Type 13, Sweetheart with maybe a little questionable mouth there. All right, so interested in the rabbit plane, that is no problem. We can get you set up with that. And I missed that last question. Isaac, what was that last one?
How much for the first number 3 you showed?
Number 3s are all going to be in around 50, 60 bucks. I mean, I'm not, trying to gouge anybody on those. Depth stop for a wooden Philister. Get with me on Facebook Messenger, and I'll see if I have one. I don't think I do, but I do have a small part stash of wooden wooden planes, and so it is possible that I could have one. All right, we got another Type 13, so another Sweetheart, and this one does have an original Sweetheart blade, and it's actually in pretty decent shape. That knob is beautiful, and so is that tote. So this is actually a really a pretty nice plane, and that's got a corrugated sole on it. So if anybody needs a Type 13, and that one's, I mean, overall, that's pretty nice. That's pretty sweet. I'm going to skip over the rest of these 5s, but let me grab a couple other tools here. All right, so we've got a 71 here. It does not have the throat closing attachment, and it does not have the fence. This is how it came to me. I do have a throat closing attachment that I could put in this that might not have an original shaft, but it's got the original foot. But if you don't have a 71 yet, this is a good starter router plane just to get you in the door, and then you can just add the rest of the parts to it as you go, as you grow. This was actually one of the nicer tools out of the lot. I think this is, well, looking at it, it's a Franken plane, but I think it might be a Type 15. And the reason why I say that is we've got the nice, decal back here. I mean, that's almost a complete decal. So that's really nice. And then look at this figuring on that rosewood. I mean, that's fantastic. And then it's got a really, really nice sweetheart iron on it. So nice and long. It is a number 7, which are typically pretty popular. We've got the little user mark etched in here in the back, if I can capture it here. And we do have a little rust spot, but I'm pretty sure that'll scrape right off. Got the small adjuster, but we'll swap that out. We'll put a big one on there just to make it right. And the only downside, the reason why I called it a Franken plane, is not the correct lever cap. And unfortunately, I don't have a good keyhole Stanley. So we can work something out on that if you happen to need, or if you're into Type 15s, sweethearts, or if you need a number 7. And especially, I mean, that tote is just unrivaled between the really nice decal and then that really sweet figuring on it. So but yeah, a bunch of number 3s, bunch of number 5s, which is pretty standard. And then we actually have another 604 here. And I think August already got his Type 3. So I don't know that he'll be interested in this one. But this is a Type 3. I say that because it's a round side. It has 604 up here on the toe. And it's got the 3-line cap. And I'm going to guess that that's probably an original rosewood tote, but it looks like it's been kind of refinished a little bit. But overall, I mean, this is a pretty decent little 604. It's got a clean lever cap on it that's not all dinged up. It's got a pretty decent frog on there. So 604 is always in demand, especially the flat sides, which I did get a 605 flat side, which I'm going to show you guys here in a minute. But suffice to say that there are more 5s, so pretty much a lot of 3s. Just let me know what type you're after, and I'll see if I have one. Everybody just message me on Facebook Messenger. I'm trying to answer individual questions on here as we go. I can't find your plane type study. So 2 patent date, number 7. If it's got 2 patent dates, then it is either a Type 9 type or Type 10. So it's going to depend on the raised rib and then whether it has the frog adjustment or not. So if it's a Type 9, then you're looking at no frog adjustment, and it's going to have the low rib or the small rib. Now for me, I call a 9 alpha when it has the large rib but still no frog adjustment. And you can watch this on the video. I've got a video out specifically on the 9 alpha, and 10. And that's just my terminology that I use, because Roger K. Smith in the original type study, he didn't talk about, he didn't have a 9 alpha, although he did mention about some of the non-number 4 sizes being, having the large rib with no frog adjustment screw. So he does at least mention it. He just doesn't give it a type. And then, of course, Type 10, 2 patent dates, large rib with the frog adjustment. So that's a great question. I'm going to have to step away from the camera for just a second while I grab this the 608 parts plane that I want to show you. And then I'm going to show you a saw and those fros. I know y'all saw the fros in the pictures that I put up on Facebook, and I know a number of people, I mean, it must have been a dozen people messaged me about fros. So I'm going to show those as well. So I got down in the basement and I was so excited about this 608. I mean, nice 3-line lever cap and a really nice tote. And I was just, oh, I was like, man, this is awesome, 608. And then I looked at the bottom. I mean, just absolutely heartbreaking. But it is what it is. And the parts will live another day. They'll live to fight another day, make another 608 complete. So a nice, pretty clean lever cap. I mean, there is some little bit of pitting on there, but at least there's no chips out of the leading edge. And then the biggest thing is the frog is still intact. I mean, so many number 8s, if they get knocked off the bench, they're going down and the frog is probably getting broken. And I've personally seen, I mean, probably 2 dozen broken number 8 frogs, as most of y'all probably have too. But an original 608 round side frog for a bedrock, really, really nice one. And then that tote, that original, and it does have the little forward lean there. I actually had requests in Bowling Green for that particular style of tote, but unfortunately I didn't have any at the time. And so I'm kind of happy to have that one now. Here's that 605 that I was telling y'all about. It is a flat side. There is some light pitting on here. So it's pretty much just going to be a user 605, and it's a later one. So there's no patent dates back here. It does have the raised ring. I mean, I'm going to guess this is probably, what, you guys help me out on it, maybe type 10 or something like that. But again, light pitting on there. It's got a sweetheart iron in it right now. And then it's got the keyhole Stanley. So somewhere in that, I don't know, type 8 through type 10 range. I'll admit that I don't have the bedrock type study memorized as well as I do the Bailey one. So this next one I'm going to show you is not for sale. Well, it is to the right person. But I was specifically requested, actually, you know what? I grabbed the wrong plane. Never mind. So this is a number 6. This is an older number 6. I take that back. This is for sale. It does have this nasty rust up here that's probably got some pitting hiding underneath that. That's just my guess. But if you like the older ones, this number 6 is pretty nice. It's got some little damage on the leading edge of the lever cap there. It's got kind of a shorty iron. But this is probably a type 7. It's got 3 patent dates on the lateral. And, well, and it's got the little dot on the back here. So it could be a 6 alpha. But it's going to be in that 6 alpha or type 7 range. There's no patent info inside the brass back here. So the main thing is, if you like the older ones, that number 6 could be for you. Let me show you all another saw that I picked up. I don't buy a whole ton of panel saws, but when I see distance in this condition, I can't help myself. So it's got a nice handle here. The horn is still intact, and it's just, you know, overall pretty nice. And then the etch, I'm probably not going to be able to catch it on camera. Or maybe you, oh yeah, there you go. You can see it. So this is a D8. It's a crosscut, and this thing is pretty nice. This is another one that might be a little hard for me to let go. I might have to keep this one for like 6 months or whatever and see how it fits into my workflow. And then maybe I'll sell it down the road. But I definitely wanted to at least show it off. And if there's somebody that's like, dang, I got to have that D8 crosscut, maybe we can work something out. Alrighty, so I showed you guys some 3s, 4s, 5s. I showed you the 7s. I showed you a 6. I even showed you the 608. And there was something else. Oh, the fros. I promised I'd show you some fros. I've got a 5.5 I want to show you all too. And the reason why I started bringing that up is because if there's a specific type and a specific plane that you're looking for, and you know I'm going to a show, which a lot of times I'll put that on Facebook. So for example, I'm going to Mebane this weekend. Let me know and I will look for it, you know, especially if it's something that's a little bit more common. Obviously, I'm not going to buy a, you know, $1,000 number 1 for you. That's probably going to be something that you're going to want to buy in person yourself so you can see it anyway. But if we're talking like $125 number 5.5, yeah, I'll look for that for you. And so my friend David down in North Carolina was specifically looking for a type 11 number 5.5. And I just happened to come across one while I was down there. Just like I got that A6 for August. So if I find that 5.5, I'll show it to you. But in the meantime, and because I think my battery is going to die, let me show you guys these fros, and you guys will dig it. Is it painfully obvious that I've never done a YouTube live before? So I'm learning as I go. I think the real YouTubers don't go off camera, do they? So this is kind of a medium fro, and I'm saying medium because I have the mother of all fros that's hanging up in the rafters. I should get that out for another YouTube video or something. And what I was originally going to do with these fros, if I had done the video, was I was going to actually put one to use outside, just on the outside chance that there might be folks that haven't seen it. But this one's a medium, and then that's another medium. And then we've got, this is kind of a small right here. But what I liked about this, and again, this is from Mr. Coy's collection, but what I liked was he had a bunch of mallets as well. And as you can see, this one has been well used and well loved. And I just love these things. I mean, it looks like kind of a caveman tool. It looks like the kind of thing that you would help convince a nice lady. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. So anyway, really nice mallet. And I did actually use this one the other day with one of those fros. And then he had this one that is kind of a, I mean, it's not really live edge, but he left the bark on it. And so I think he may have covered it in some kind of epoxy or something. But I'm going to have to try this one out too. I mean, it looks like it's taken a couple hits, a couple strikes there. But just really cool how they left the bark on it, assuming it was Mr. Coy, left the bark on it there. And it's got some good weight, some good heft to it. But I figure if you're going to use a fro, you might as well use one of these real mallets. And that's the kind of thing where if you see it in an estate sale, you're probably not going to pay more than 10, 15 bucks. You're not going to want to pay a bunch of money for it. But then you'll walk out of there and that mallet will last the rest of your life. And if you have a little one in your life, I don't think I'm going to sell this one just yet. I probably will eventually. But if you have a little one in your life and they got to follow you around, they want to do everything you're doing, you can give them this little fro and a little tiny piece of wood and maybe a small mallet and let them let them work it out. But just for size comparison, you can see. So again, I'm probably gonna have to keep this one for a little while just to maybe try it out, or let my daughter try it out and just see how that goes. And then eventually I probably will sell it. But it's kind of like number one planes. Everybody like, or number twos. Everybody likes nice, cute little stuff, right? Well, this is going to be really anticlimactic if I leave off on this note. You guys know I always save the best for last. I saved the fros toward the end because I knew that you guys would want to see those, just based on the number of comments and the number of people that messaged me and they were like, hey, I need a fro. So how about this? Let's end with a little Q&A. You guys let me know what questions you have and I will try to answer them, whether it's about anything that I showed or just, you know, type study stuff, anything that I can show you maybe from my collection or whatever. So while you guys are typing your questions, I do see one other thing that I wanted to show you. So let me grab that. Are you leaving? Oh, well, you didn't have to go away to the main door. Here we go. Let's talk about compass planes for a minute. I picked this one up from a friend, Charlie, and got it just like this. So no lever cap, no blade. And it does have the 2-hole handle back here. So if you happen to have a 113 and you don't have a handle for it and it's the 2-hole style, I've specifically picked that one up, of course, for parts. I have not been able to get that other screw out yet, but I'm pretty confident that I can. I tried to do it at the meet and not so much. When did the first 5 1/4 show up? Great question. Type 13, or what we now call Type 13, is the first 5 1/4. So it should have a single patent date, no raised ring, large brass adjuster, and incidentally, if you happen to come across a corrugated version of that, those are exceedingly uncommon. So especially the early 5 1/4s, those are really sought after by collectors. But yeah, great question. I did find another number 7 here. So if you happen to need one, it's a low knob and it's got a repaired tote on it back here. And you can see the horn is a little bit thinner. So I think this might have been possibly one of Mr. Fred's early repairs. It does have a BB logo blade in it. But if you just need a good user number 7, got a little scratch back here, but not a crack. And speaking of tote repairs, I did promise y'all that I was going to show you some of the gentleman's repairs. And what's really interesting is I actually found a piece of rosewood, a couple pieces of rosewood that he had bought to use for the repairs. I don't know if it's actually Brazilian or it could be East Indian or something like that, but there's one of them. And you can see where the horn kind of terminates, or it comes to kind of more of a point. And so what I think, or what I suspect based on some of the other repairs, is this may have been an early one. The hole is maybe a little bit larger. But then, and here's another one. This one's actually pretty doggone good. It's got, you can see the seam there in the front there. And the color match is actually pretty good. And keep in mind, this was probably before Gordon was on YouTube showing people how to do this. And that horn might be a little bit off from the original, but I kind of like it. I mean, it looks like it'd have a good hook for the hand back there. And here's another one for number 3, number 4 size. That looks like it has a pretty solid horn repair, or at least I suspect. And then this one, it looks like there was kind of a new bottom put on. Have you guys seen them crack like this or break out like that before, where the base, I don't know if it was like an over tightening situation and it kind of blows out the bottom, or if it just takes a hit or something. But not a fantastic color match, but overall, I mean, that's not a terrible repair either, as far as matching the original shape there. And I did actually sell one of these already to a gentleman that was looking for a repaired tote. And here's another one. This one actually looks like it has a shaft repair down here, but because of the finish that he used, it's masked pretty well on there. And then you can see it's got plenty of personality. So anyway, pretty cool repaired totes there. And here's that 5.5 that I was telling you guys about. So David, if you happen to be on, this one's got your name all over it. And that's just, I mean, that's a really, really sweet Type 11. It does have the T logo blade in there, but that's not terribly uncommon for a Type 11 to have a T logo blade. That's where you're going to have a discussion about, people talk all the time about, hey, you know, Stanley used up old parts before they went on to later stuff. And speaking of 113s, I showed you guys that parts one. This was another one that came from the estate, and this one is pretty doggone clean. It's got a Q logo blade on there. It's got the 2-hole handle back here, so it doesn't have the adjuster on the side. But overall, I mean, as 113s go, this one is pretty doggone clean. If you don't have a 113 in your collection yet, this would certainly be a good one. And I see a couple of people dropping off, going to get dinner and stuff. No worries at all. And I guess YouTube like automatically puts this up after the fact, which I did not know. But that's a pretty clean 113. Alrighty. I showed you guys the saws, the planes, the fros.
Mr. Grace would like to know if number 2s follow the same types. He came across one and is trying to figure out the possible year.
All right. I see some folks are going to message me about the 113 and the 113 handle. All right. So my producer over here says number 2, they follow the same types. So the best thing on the number 2s would be probably to either just post pictures on Facebook or shoot me the pics, and I can give you my amateur opinion. But to answer your question, type study and number 2s are not, I mean, it's definitely not 100%. So the further you get away from a number 4, the less likely it is that it's going to match. So there are some simple things, like as far as keyhole Stanley lever cap versus a plain lever cap with no Stanley on the front. The low knobs will, versus high knob will pretty much follow along, but not the raised ring in my experience. So, and then the easiest way to tell both a number 2 and a number 1 is going to be based on the logo on the blade, which of course is sketchy at best because it's so easy and so common to swap out a blade. And so you really got to be careful on that. But, typically, at least the way that I approach the type study is I look at the sole and the frog, because to me, that's the heart of the plane. And if I can determine somewhat narrow down the type based on the sole and especially the frog, then that's where I'm going to start from, because I'm sure y'all can imagine, everything else can be changed pretty easily. So in the case of the lateral adjust lever, for example, if you've got a single patent date on there, it's probably either a type 8 or a type 9. And I'm saying including type 9 because there was a lot of overlap where a single patent date would still show up on type 9s. If it's got a B casting, then obviously we know, okay, it's type 8. And then if it's got 3 patent dates on the lateral, and this includes number 2s as well, because they did put the patent dates on the laterals going back like type 6, type 7, etc. So, and then once you get past that, it's anybody's guess. And again, narrow it down: high knob, low knob, etc. And it looks like you're just going to send me a picture of it, which is cool. So I should probably stop going on and on about number 2s. Looking for a knob for Stanley 45. So are you looking for the kind where it has the screw that goes down through it with the nut, or are you looking for the one that actually screws onto the fence? Because the one that has the threading in the knob, that one is really, really hard to find. And they cost about 30 or 35 bucks. I'm not sure if I have any of those currently. I know I've sold 1 or 2 recently. DM about the 113 handle. That's awesome. But yeah, number 45, knobs, I'd say probably about 80%, maybe even as many as 90% of those are going to be stripped out and missing off of the fence. It was just a really poor design by Stanley. And unfortunately, they just get stripped out way too easily. And so a lot of times when you find them, if the knob is there, it's been like epoxied in place, or they'll stuff some kind of cloth up there and then force thread it on there. But finding an intact knob on a 45 fence is pretty hard. And that's why they're kind of pricey. And to be honest with you, in my experience, a lot of folks don't even use that knob when they're employing their 45. They just hold on to the fence because it's so critical that you make sure that you hold good pressure against that fence, against the stock, that most folks don't even use the knob. In my experience, if I'm holding on to that knob, let me just show one real quick, because you got me talking about 45s. I feel like there's at least a dozen people whose intelligence I'm insulting right now, so I apologize in advance. But yeah, when you're holding it, I hold mine like this, holding my hand against the fence and holding the fence against the stock, because my concern is if I'm holding this knob, then I'm going to have a tendency to push it like that. And so, of course, we want to push with the handle, but this to me is not a stable platform. Like, that's not steady. And so that's why I just go like that. And I'm not trying to talk you out of buying a knob, because, of course, I'm happy to sell you one, and I'm happy to see another seller get the sale if they happen to have what you need. But if you have hesitation about spending that much money on a knob, I don't blame you if you're not going to actually use it. And of course, there's always the option to make one too. So if you got a lathe, then you can go ahead and spin one and then figure out how to
you have an enormous amount of parts. What happened to all the bodies?
That's a great question, Dennis. So I should show y'all. I won't be on this one, but I have a graveyard, or a boneyard rather. I have a boneyard for the bodies. And at one time I had 4 of those huge Tupperware, like Rubbermaid Tupperware, like buckets or whatever. I had 4 of those full. But what I did is I listed them locally, and one of my friends came over and took about 2 of those bucketfuls home, and he's cutting them up. So he's cutting like the Bailey off, and he's cutting the patent dates off and stuff like that. And he's going to make, keychains or little trinkets or whatever the case out of those. But yeah, if you're not familiar with my business model, I specifically look for broken and incomplete planes, but especially broken ones. So when it comes to bench planes, I'm always looking. As a matter of fact, at Bowling Green at the MWTCA, if you're not familiar with the format, Wednesday is when most folks come into town, Wednesday night. get registered. Thursday morning is always tailgating. And so I've been to 3 out of the last 4 national meets. And the Thursday tailgating, that's when you're going to find usually some pretty decent deals, because sometimes you'll even have folks that don't set up inside and they just bring stuff and just tailgate. Or Wednesday night, they might have stuff set up in their rooms. But yeah, Thursday morning, I mean, I kid you guys not, I bought, I'd say at least probably 2 dozen planes, and easily half of those were parts planes. So I got a Sergeant #2 parts plane. If anybody needs a tote, I have a Sergeant tote for #2. I think I have a knob. I know for sure I have a frog. So if you're a Sergeant guy, let me know. And then I also found a Stanley #2 parts plane as well. I mean, I paid up for it. I think I paid $80 for it, but I already sold the lever cap off of that one, and I think the blade as well. But it has a, I can't remember the tote on it. But anyway, you take my point. Yeah, I mean, if it's broken, if it's got a broken sole, then of course, we're going to pull the parts off of it and move those on so that they can live to fight another day. They can make another one healthy. So they become organ donors. Hey, Darren, how's it going? If you're just checking, if you're just coming on, unfortunately, I'm about to log off. #2, Sweetheart Blades. Let's chat via PM on that. I might have one that just needs to be cleaned up. But yeah, let's chat via PM on that, and I'll see if I can get you set up. I know I still owe you one. And incidentally, if anybody else has a #2 Sweetheart blade that you want to sell, I can either trade for it and then I'll hook Jan up, or if you want to just reach out to him directly, then by all means we can go that route too. Yeah, piece of cloth on the one that you purchased. That makes sense. I've seen that several times. If I ever get my shop cleaned up, then I'll have to give you guys a shop tour. Oh, Dave, hey, how's it going? I mentioned you earlier. If anybody needs totes, Dave Corinth does the reproduction ones. You've probably seen some of the ones that he's made. I would show you one, but I think I sold the last one I had today, as a matter of fact, and just shipped it out. Well, I take that back. Here's a reproduction tote that Dave made right here, and he can, chime in. I don't think it's teak because it's too reddish, and I don't think it's Paduke. So Bubinga, maybe. Dave, if you recognize that one, chime in, let us know. But yeah, if you need reproduction totes, Dave is your guy, and he will match the shape as far as whether it's the height, the shape of the horn, the thickness back here, down here at the base, as far as matching for type 8, type 9, and then more slender ones for the later ones. So, but yeah, I got to hang out with Dave Corinth at Bowling Green, which was Bubinga. There we go. But I got to hang out with Dave, which was probably, at the risk of inflating his ego, there's probably one of the highlights of trip, because Dave and I only see each other a couple times a year. So it was very cool. And speaking of trips, of course, we got Mebane next weekend. And if you guys have not heard, Hand Tool Haven, which would be the second annual for Plain Wellness, that one's coming up in May of next year. So up in Pennsylvania, so north of Pittsburgh. It's in Butler, PA. So if you're not familiar with that, look into that for Plain Wellness and Hand Tool Haven. I'll be talking about it more between now and then. What was the market for #1 parts? So that's a great question. So here's the deal with #1s. The hardest to find parts are going to be the sole and the lever cap. Those are hands down the hardest parts on a #1. So I can get you a tote, whether a reproduction or an original or a repaired. As a matter of fact, I think I have all 3 of those in stock. I can get you a frog. I have 1 or 2 #1 frogs in stock. I only sell 1 or 2 a year. And then same thing with knobs, which incidentally, the #1 knob is the same as what's on a 98 or 99. The only difference is that the hole in the bottom of it just has to be wallered out a little bit, has to be enlarged a little bit to fit on a #1, because the boss sits higher than the 98, 99. And then blades, I actually have half a dozen #1 blades right now. And I even have one chip breaker. So that leads us back to the original thing. For #1, it's going to be the body and then the lever cap. And of those 2, the lever cap's the hardest one to find. I mean, I've only bought and sold maybe 2 or 3 #1 lever caps in the last 10 years. I mean, that's how hard those are to find. But I know personally probably 2 or 3 people that are looking for one right now. So just to put that in perspective. And then if you happen to have a good sole, you can expect to get at least probably $500 for it, I would think. And then for a good number one lever cap, you're looking at probably at least, I think the last one I had, I was asking 350 on it, and I ended up trading it for a complete number 2. I prefer the Sergeant number 2 over the Stanley 2, just a little bigger. Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. Is there a place where all these hand plane hangouts are listed? That is a good question. So I'm going to actually refer you to another YouTuber, which is Wood by Right, which you hopefully are already familiar with. But yeah, Wood by Right actually maintains a website where he's got a number of different, whether it's dealers, but then also places where folks congregate together. I'm pretty sure is on that list too. You guys correct me if in the chat if I'm wrong. But incidentally, if you just go to mwtca.org, you're going to see where the regional meets are and then where the national meets are. So regional, you've got, for example, down in Georgia. Of course, I'm going to focus on the ones in the Southeast because those are the ones I go to. But you've got the Peach Meet down in Georgia is going to be the first weekend in February. And then you've got the nationals that happen every year in June. I'm pretty sure usually in June and September, which the next national is actually in, what is it, Kingsport, Tennessee. Anyway, just go to mwtca.org and you'll see it on there along with all the regional ones. And then Plain Wellness, you can follow him, follow Jamie Harpster on whether it's Facebook or just on the website. And incidentally, since we're talking about these meets, Handworks is coming back. I don't know if you guys have heard that yet, but Handworks is coming back, I'm pretty sure, fall of 26. And y'all feel free. As a matter of fact, Dave, fact check me on that. It's fall of 26, right? The Handworks is coming. And that's in the Amana colonies up in Iowa. I don't know if I'm going to make it to that one. And then the fall national next year is in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm really hoping to make that one because Michigan's my home state. That's only about 2 hours from where my extended family lives. But yeah, great questions. I love it. Yep, absolutely. Dave is the best. Dave also makes the little miniature planes as well. So if you're looking for those, he can get you set up. And then let me show you one of Dave's little minis here.
In the Northwest, the next PNC meet is October 18th in the Portland area.
Oh, there you go. So if you live out west, yep, September of 26. So Dave confirms on that. But yeah, if you live out west in the Pacific Northwest, what is it? The Best in the West is what it's called, right? But yeah, I'm going to plug Dave again here for a minute because that's one of the ones that he made. And this was actually a limited run at the time. So recast out of brass that used to be part of Stanley Planes. The brass that can't be saved, the knurling's all messed up or it's all torn up. But yeah, that thing is pretty sweet. And let me put it beside a number 2 just for perspective. So yeah, that's the number 2, Lee Nielsen, of course. And then that's Dave's plane, just so you can see the difference there. But he had a dozen little 101s that had been converted into little miniature planes. And if incidentally, you should already be watching Dave Corinth on YouTube anyway, but definitely go check him out. And he's got some videos on there where he shows those little miniature planes. But reach out to him if you want to get your hands on one. I know he sold all 12 of them. Oh yeah, he's going to be taking some to the Kingsport meet. That won't be until June of next year. People don't want to wait that long, Dave. They need one before that. But yeah, so unless you guys have any other questions, I'm pretty sure my battery is going to die here. But if you guys have any other questions, I'll, try and field at least 1 or 2 more. And if not, then that's cool too. Currently making 16. I like it. I don't blame you, James. But you guys are awesome. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Appreciate all the questions. get me yapping about hand planes. It's my favorite things. But yeah, it looks like that's it. So hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm looking forward to all the messages for the stuff that I showed, and I'm definitely going to get you all set up. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. How do I get out of here?